Minutes gone past the hour. It's time for us to switch conversations here on 92.3 Nigeria Info. This is Hard Facts. I am Kala Dakaru, and the time is saying almost 13 minutes gone past the hour of 4. I have a guest via the phone. I will introduce him shortly, but first let's go through or look through what the conversation for the hour is about. Sometime last week, we saw a report where EFCC in many parts of the country, across the country, went after BDCs. That's the people who are, called the Bureau de Change people, where they do naira to dollar or dollar to naira transactions, and naira to pound or pound to naira transactions, basically exchanging foreign currencies with the naira. And we saw the arrest happen because the naira to the dollar, for instance, was getting to a point where it was beyond the imagination. It was I think in the black market it got to 2,100 thereabout, and a lot of people were saying, "Hey, what's happening? The free fall of the naira is dangerous." A lot of people were talking, and the CBN somehow pointed the finger at the BDCs, saying the speculators are the reason why these things are happening in the foreign exchange. However, the chairman of Bureau de Change Operators in Port Harcourt, Sani Isaka, says over 150 members, including himself. Okay, that's not it. I'm looking for the part that's from last week's bulletin. I'm looking for the part where he said that banks are responsible, for the current situation. Okay, he said the government rather is responsible for the rising dollar rate against the naira. And on the show, I have now invited the chairman, Institute of Bankers in Rivers State. I'm talking about Njoku Nkwachukwu on the show, and is going to be having a conversation with us via the phone line. Good afternoon to you and welcome.
Good afternoon, Canada. Good afternoon, listeners.
All right. So you are very much abreast with what is happening as it relates to naira against the foreign currencies. By the way, we've seen reports and we've seen evidence that the naira has appreciated. The naira has gained some momentum in the foreign exchange. Can we now say that the BDCs are responsible for the loss of value as it relates to the naira? What's your take on this?
Thank you, Canada, once more. The issue is there. Something causes or simply something is responsible for the changes we are seeing in the FX market. And generally speaking, there are three factors that we should always look at. One is the supply and demand relationship.
The supply and demand of?
The supply and demand for FX.
Okay, FX. All right, for foreign exchange. Okay.
All of them. Now USD, GBP, or Euro. Then, two, market sentiment. That is the mood and the behavior of the participants in the market, in the FX market. Then, technical market data is another thing that affects the prices. So when you look at this three things, in our own case, what can we say is actually responsible? Before we look at these three factors, as I've always said, the Nigerian economy is an import-dependent economy as it is today. And we finance our importation with FX, especially the US dollar. The price for FX to finance our import is rising every day. And raises far above the supply. So there is a disequilibrium in the market, in the FX market. And when this happens, what would happen generally, or as using common sense, is that price will rise. The scarcity of dollar in the system to finance this import-dependent economic activity is a problem. So for us to drastically, for government to drastically deal with this matter, will help to start producing all those things that the government needs to do from the fiscal policy aspect. For there to be high productivity in the system has to be in place. And we know that for there to be productivity, there must be good security in the system. So government has a lot, and that will be the reason why the people that are arrested are talking about the government. So if there is good security in the system, and the factories will be there, people will go to farm, people will go and to the oil field without being kidnapped and things like that. So you see that we will sell more, our export will now start rising.
Okay.
More our export rises far or even equal to our import, you see that the naira will start getting value. It's simple.
So you're not blaming the BDCs, if I hear you correctly.
No, the BDCs are insignificant aspects. If we get all this area done, then dealing with the BDCs is simple and easy. Government can use one circular to deal with the BDCs. So that is why I'm not emphasizing that. The BDCs are just using simple method that government can correct easily with one circular from the CBN or one policy from the CBN. So when we get this done and our exports get momentum, you will see that we will have a lot of liquidity in the system, a lot of dollar will be here. So to finance our import. So the dollar, the naira will just get value over time. That is one of the major areas.
All right.
Then let's leave that aspect and now come to the question you asked me. That is whether the BDC operators are responsible for this rising price. If they are responsible, it's just a short-term thing because they will only exploit one element, that is market sentiment. It can be artificially created by the participants in the market, but that will not last. That will not last for months, unlike the first factor that we talked about. So manipulation in the market, yes, it can happen. Not only in Nigeria, even outside Nigeria. Such manipulation can happen, but it will not last.
Okay. Let me ask you this now. About 2 weeks ago, we saw the CBN give a directive to banks to sell off their excess foreign currencies, especially the dollar. And we saw a lot of banks, coming out with excess dollars. But yet we had reports before then that, dollar was scarce, that there was not enough dollars. Can you explain this, to Nigerians? Because even the banks have been accused of being in cahoots with speculators to increase the value of the dollars against the naira.
Yes, remember that the banks are private businesses. They're private businesses, and this private business wants to make money and more profit, and so that they will share more for the shareholders of the company. So banks are there to make money, whatever, as long as it's not an illegal activity. The banks will exploit it. But if there is any bank that has done anything illegal, the CBN is there to teach the person. The NDI is there in their investigation, which they don't need any permission. If they have any information, they can just get it. The EFCC is there. So as long as the activity is not illegal, any bank is free to exploit it to increase their earnings. That is it. The banks are not charity organizations; they are private entities that want to grow the wealth of the.
So now, in this instance where the banks are looking at making profits, has it also affected the value of the naira? I think that's the question I try to ask. Has it affected the value of the naira?
To a certain extent, it's not because the bank gets some bank, which is their personal, that is their decision to take. You know, it's not the thing that one will conclude that it is responsible for devaluation or depreciation of the naira. But one would say that liquidity, that is lack of or the scarcity, the scarcity of the dollar is the thing that is causing the rise in price. And sorry. CBN has just instructed them or compelled them to do. And he saw that all of them comply because CBN is their supervisor.
Now,
so CBN has said, you have looked at the record, you release all your dollar stock, and they complied. Did this solve the problem permanently?
Interesting.
You better solve the problem permanently.
Interesting.
Because the cure is different from that particular activity or that release of the solar stock in the bank and the bank.
Okay, I would have to pause you. We have a commercial coming up. After the commercial, I'll come back to this question about the roles the banks play in, the value of the naira. Please do stay tuned. I'll be right back. Minutes gone past the hour of 4. You're still listening to 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kalada Kurubatibo, and I have my guest via the phone. He is the chairman, River State Institute of Bankers, the Institute of Bankers, and he is the Okay, it goes by the name Nkwachukwu, and we are looking at the BDCs, the dollarization of the Nigerian economy, the CBN directives, the various CBN directives, and what the challenges are, and how do we get the naira up there so we can have value. I mean, a lot of us are struggling to pay for things, and the naira doesn't necessarily have so much value these days, and we are looking at how we can change the situation. Welcome back on the show, Mr. Njoku. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Kala.
Now, just before we went for that commercial break, you were telling us about how the banks are private businesses and they are out there for profits, and that although there was the scarcity of the dollar and every other FX, the banks decided to keep theirs, and when the CBN asked them to sell it off, they did, but it did not solve the problem. I was going to ask you, are you sure it did not solve the problem? But you sounded like you were sure. So the next question then will be, what do you think, as a banker, if you were in charge of the central bank, what would be that policy you would put in place, to ensure that the naira begins to gain some muscles, begins to gain some power? Because I'm thinking right now, you've said the BDCs are insignificant in terms of, dropping the value of the naira. You said the banks are also not the reason, but production or the lack thereof is the reason why we have the situation we find ourselves in. So the question then is, how do we up the power, up the value of the naira, given our current economic situation?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kavara. If I were to be the student governor today and I'm faced with this challenge, the first thing I will do is I will visit I will schedule a meeting with Mr. President to address insecurity, address the fiscal policy issues, so that there will be productivity in the system. If there is no matter how good you are, no matter how professional you are, you can't clap with one hand. The CBN alone cannot solve the problem we have with the value of the naira. It's not a matter of paper policy issues. You have to go into action. There was the very intentional leadership well to correct this challenge or to correct or solve this problem we have today. And it is beyond the CBN alone. The CBN can come up with other policies and deal with BDCs and deal with that. But that will not increase the liquidity in the system. The liquidity problem can only be addressed when Nigeria earns more dollars. And we can only earn more dollars through export, increase export of both oil and non-oil products. Then, locally, we can also increase our productivity by ensuring there is security of life and property in the farm, in the forest, in the bush, so that people can go and they cultivate crops and they harvest them and bring to the market. So, a kind of surplus in the market. And when there is surplus, definitely, will drop.
Okay.
The demand we are seeing today, what is leading to higher value or the couple of the naira losing value is because the demand is so high in the local market and the supply is not there. If you go to the market, how many bags of garri are there? If we have in Port Harcourt alone, we have let me say one market in Port Harcourt, you have excess supply of garri. You see that garri will drop that day. The price of garri will drop that day. Like you said, the target says banks release their former stock. They release it. It's not at the price this. Okay, now that they have attacked or arrested some BDC operators, it has affected demand because the demand in those markets, those core markets, are not as it was before. That's why you have seen the price going down.
So it's not because the speculators have sorry, let me get something. It's not because the speculators have stopped speculating. It's because there is no demand for it as a result of the lack of supply. Is that what you're saying?
Because people are also afraid. Those people that are security are also afraid. They have come back to their houses because if they go there and be arrested. So that is just the only thing. If you allow it, if you don't solve the major problem or solve the problem the way it's supposed to be solved, in a short time, they will that's what that means. And we continue with it. But when these problems are listed there are confronted, you see that the BDC operators is just normal because there is so high demand. They are only doing the manipulation because a lot of people want the dollar in the black market because the official market cannot pass them.
Now, the question I want to ask you is this. So you are saying in summary that there is no visible solution in the nearest future. You're saying that we will continue to go back and forth with the price of naira to the dollar, the price of naira to pound. Generally, the FX market, our naira will continue to go up and down. Is that what you're trying to say, that there is no solution in sight just yet?
Why the CBN is doing their monetary policy amendments and adjustments, which is good and perfect. The Ministry of Finance, that is in part of the fiscal policy, should also be doing their own. The security agencies should be doing their own realistically. Then the other sectors, custom service, and all of them should be doing their own without corruption. That is the only way we can get it. The Mr. President should take it and know that it's not CBN. If you are to be able to do it, then we will continue this way. Today we go on, tomorrow we come back. CBN alone cannot solve the problem. Just that much. Nobody can clap with one hand.
Okay.
CBN can do get all the policies right. That's all this aspect, as I have been saying, in that these other areas are very properly, then it will not achieve much.
Okay. Now let's look at the implication of a dollarized economy, because it looks like, I keep hearing the phrase dollarized economy, that we run a dollarized economy. Help me. As a banker, you are a stakeholder when we talk the economy or economics. How does the dollar affect local production? I mean, when I say local production, like the price of Gary, for instance, like the price of the price of things that are locally produced, because you hear things like dollar self affect this one, dollar self affect that one. So I'm wondering, as these fluctuations will continually happen, like you've somehow said or indirectly said, because if I understand you very well, you're saying until certain things are placed and production starts, we would not be able to stabilize the naira. So for the layman out there, how does dollar affect local businesses?
Okay. Yes. I've got it today in Nigeria. Can you call election parties that are producing equipment, one or two?
Sorry, come again. That are producing what again? Come again. I didn't hear you clearly.
That are into the production of machines, equipment, and tools that we can use for mechanized agriculture.
Oh, okay.
Nation 3. We don't have. We've got to China to import. And what we import is, we import in dollars. That is the challenge. Some industries, the ones that are into for what's it called now, pharmaceutical product production. Some of them are existing in business. Then Nigerians must take or must go to the hospital, and the hospital will make prescription. And how do you get the
drugs
attended to?
Yeah.
So people have to go abroad and import. And then they import, you are using the dollar to import. So that is how dollar is affecting local things. So for you to go into mechanized direct production, you need land land from this land, cycles and things like that. We don't produce them here. We have to import them. So it's a direct impact. So
Okay.
that is the thing.
Okay. Now I want to open the phone line, but I want to throw one more question at you, and we'll listen to the callers, and then we'll come back to you. And the question I want to ask is, so if, because we import almost everything, so even the ones that are produced locally are not being dollarized, is it possible for us to sell the one thing that we export, which is the crude oil, in our own currency, naira? I understand that the international currency for crude oil, whether Brent or the other one, is the dollar currency. However, we've seen certain countries insist that it has to be sold in their currency. Russia, for example. I think there's another country, was it China, who also came up recently with that policy that it must be sold in their own local currency. Is it possible for us to achieve it? And if we do, does that mean that our naira will gain some strength?
There is nothing that stops them, but I doubt if our leaders will even think doing that. I doubt, because they'll be intimidated by the international buyers or buyers in the international market. They'll be intimidated. And again, what you said is not the truth. The buyers majority, after all, is the truth. They can move to the left. And to replace the dollar with another international currency, another lingo pack. That's another challenge. So the dollar is there as a big elephant. So that is it. That is the issue. And again, with regard to the situation we are, our local refineries, what is the problem? You and I know how long we have been talking about refining to the fair. What is the problem? Is it foreign? Everything that is making the refineries here not to refine the crude we can get in Nigeria is another problem.
Okay.
If the refineries, both the ones owned privately and the ones owned by the government, can operate at optimal level, if there will be optimal efficiency in the operation of the refinery, you see that the price of that product will start going down.
Okay. Lest I forget, a lot of Nigerians have started saving in dollars. So now we have dollar accounts. Several banks are running those accounts. A lot of people are storing. Is that really profit making? And follow me with this. So let's say, I saw this on X, by the way. So let's say I had 200,000 naira and I decided to change it to dollars. And then dollar increases, and that means I've made 600,000 naira, for example, according to the tweets that I saw. And I am now trying to bring it back to naira so I can buy something, but then also the price of that thing has increased. So are we really making profits when we save in dollar? Are we also affecting the Nigerian currency when we save in dollar? These are some of the things that I'm confused about when I think this very issue.
Okay, I think I saw that particular place or something like that. The person that wrote that tweet did not look at it holistically.
Okay.
If I have television, I think they use television.
Yeah, they use television, yes, as an example.
If I have, television. If I have to read and I have idle cash, maybe idle naira, 1 million or 2 million, and I know that I'm not using it, instead of keeping it in your naira account, and it means the person that decided to use it. Assuming the thing happened November last year, and that said, okay, let me just buy dollar and keep, since I don't need this money. But I think the person will be making gains today.
But when the person goes to the market to buy stuff, think about how much inflation has risen since November 20 up around February 24. Don't think that value in naira also while all the money in dollar value, so I think became expensive as well.
That is what I'm saying. the fact is, if the person has kept that money in naira, you will lose more.
Oh, okay.
That's you
will lose more.
You have just lost in dollars. That's it. Because it hasn't paid for it. But they have met all the needs.
But then
at the time you have that expense idle card.
Okay. But then, does that not also contribute to the devaluation of our naira? Because, like I said, many Nigerians have money saved in dollars.
It is also one of the things because people are afraid. Remember, one of the concepts of money is store of value. If you store your money in naira, it has the economy. You know, if you store your value in naira, and living the way it's living. From November last week now, you know that you have lost more, but yet you have converted that money to dollar, and you are not using it. You see that the loss will not be much.
Okay, all right.
Compared to when you have left the tax in naira.
Okay, all right.
That's not the
okay.
Permission there.
All right, let's open the phone lines. Let's get the thoughts of the listener, and let's talk for development. So I'd like to get your thoughts right now. The phone lines are officially open, and the question I have for you, the listener, is: what incentives can be given to boost the confidence of Nigerians in the naira? Now, we've just been told that part of the country built-in factor to the devaluation of the naira is that Nigerians don't have confidence in the naira. They have confidence in other currencies like the pound, the dollar, and not in the naira. What incentives can we get from government that will make us begin to have confidence in the naira? And secondly, we've been talking about production. There is no production, and that's why the economy is going astray. Allow me to put it that way. What can we do because if you talk immediate, I don't think we can immediately set up production. It's not as easy as that. So what can we really do? Because it looks like the economy is in a very, very dire situation. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, and 0817-923-0007. And the most important question for me is in reaction to what my guest has said, that they may not be respite inside except we fix production. Not the BDCs, not the commercial banks. All of those things are just tertiary. The primary problem is production. So, looking at that, it's my goodness. I'm going to go to the phone lines now. We're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're active on X. The WhatsApp number is 0809-0306416. Hello, God's Power from HA. Welcome. What is on your mind?
Yeah, Canada. Good evening.
Yeah, greetings to you. Welcome. What's your
I greet my brother and your guest.
Okay.
Nkwachukwu, Njoku.
All right.
From Apokazi.
Okay.
The brother and in-law. I greet you there. Thank you. I know it's online.
All right. So let's share your thoughts.
I wanted to ask me a question. Why is it that Nigerians from local government to state to federal are afraid of production? All their policies, they don't have that in their agenda. Even the common gari plantain, we don't produce. What is the problem?
All right.
They have not got any program, and the local government is rolling out a program to produce cassava, or riverine to produce fish, or the other one to produce other things. What is exactly the problem of that? That's what I want to hear from you.
All right. Thank you very much. Daniel from Imo Gates. Welcome, Daniel. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, my brother Carla.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All
right, Chinke Daniels, welcome.
Our problem, my brother, is that we like to pretend. Pretending in the sense as if we don't know what happened or what is dragging us to this. When one speaks and he dies for telling the truth, so be it. How did they win their primary elections? What currency did they use? In the main election, what did they use? I mean, our leaders who want our naira to gain strength now. And we are just, let me tell you, my brother Kalada, whatever policy they are using is to make the gap between the poor and the rich wider.
Okay.
That is it. Okay, look at what the guest has said. They now go and rake in the remaining dollars. Keep it so that tomorrow, when $1 will be 4,000, they will not bring my brother.
All right.
I am short of words.
All right, Daniel, thank you very much. I've got Tony from Imo State. Tony, good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Yes, this is Tony calling from Imo State.
Okay, I know that already. Let's get
you see, my brother, let us look into this dollar naira issue from this angle. Have we ever asked ourselves, why are our state governors not productive? Despite a huge allocation that comes to the state every month, they are not running, most states are not running with local government chairman, they are running with caretaker chairman.
I agree.
Then there is no production. They are not establishing power plants. They are not establishing food processing industry. What is happening to the allocation that comes to them every month? I want to let you know this. This is an insight I'm giving you, that what these governors are doing is that each month the allocation comes, they will change it to dollar, so that it will be very simple for them to carry a bag, even keep it in their different houses. That is why you see them that are not productive. So you remember them and do dollar. Was he not a governor? That is exactly what is happening in Nigeria.
All right.
Until our TSPC and whichever constitution that gives executive immunity to governors and presidents that cannot be investigated while they are in office is a very wrong one. I hope you saw Donald Trump of America going to talk an ex-president. And the American constitution is that the president can be investigated but not taken to court. Let's also make our own in that way, that these governors and the president can be investigated while they are in office. You don't close a rat hole with corn.
All right. All right. Tony, thank you. Tony, thank you very much.
You will not prove him. Has this happened in Nigeria?
Tony, I've got to go. Thank you very much. I've got Clement from NTA Road. I think that will be our last caller for now. Clement, welcome on the show. Let's get your thoughts, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Canada.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, quickly, please. Let's listen.
Quickly,
yeah.
Somebody came, was it last year or 2 years ago, to talk about consumption to production. This person, I believe, must have understood the challenges of this nation called Nigeria, and came up with a solution that we chop too much. We chop. We should start producing and stop chopping. We don't produce, we chop.
All right.
How can you be eating and you are not producing? I would like your guest to throw more light on the disadvantage of chop.
All right. All right then.
Producing.
All right. Thank you very much. I don't think I have enough time, Mr. Njoku, so I'm just going to throw the last question at you. A lot of the callers, especially the first caller, called in and mentioned production and how it's difficult for us to produce. Please quickly, can you tell us why you think it is difficult for us to, have an optimum production in Nigeria? What do you think is the big challenge there?
It's lack of political will, lack of leadership will. Because when parties come to do and we have government based on good leadership. So lack of leadership will to the bottom is the challenge. If the federal government, for instance, as the way they say, give one and say, this is permitted, go and share. If they come up and say, this should be done, this kind of productivity or this type of this sector of the economy to be grown from the federal to the local government level.
I'm sorry. I've got to let you go at this point. We have a commercial break.
Public announcement. The general public is by this notice duly informed that the estate of my father, His Royal Majesty A. Dr. Johnson Abilede Uche, JP of Ilimbu Town, who died on the 19th day of April 2021, is yet to be legally and formally administered, pending the determination of an action now pending before the High Court of Rivers State in suit number PHC/3143/CS/2022. Members of the public are hereby warned to desist from renting, purchasing, leasing, and or purporting to acquire interest in any properties belonging to the estate of my late father, particularly the tenants on the unlisted properties at 1. Property at Winnie Chida in Limbu Slaughter Area.